Hello everybody, my name is Adrian Nixon and from the Nixene Journal, and today I'm at the Graphene Engineering Innovation Centre in Manchester, the Geek, and this is a special visit for us because this is the first time we've been able to get to talk to the guys at Nationwide Engineering, and we've got the Chief Exec of Graphene at Manchester, James Baker, with us as well. So we have Alex McDermott, that's me, and you are a Joint Managing Director of Nationwide Engineering. And Rob Hibberd, you're the other Joint Managing Director.
I am, yes.
And then James Baker, Chief Exec of everything here.
Hi.
Now, you guys have been playing with graphene and concrete, and this is a joint venture effort between the Geek and Nationwide Engineering. You're doing something rather special with graphene and concrete. Where should we start?
It might well be worth starting at the beginning, because I was a student here at the University of Manchester 20 years ago now, and James was given a lecture actually 2.5-ish years ago on the benefits of graphene in construction and emerging technologies. Attended that, found it really interesting, and one of the elements we talked about, he presented on, was the opportunities for using graphene in concrete and the potential structural applications. So Rob and I, Nationwide Engineering, approached the Geek afterwards, and it was a journey that started there right at the beginning. We saw very early technology, very early days with the sort of development of the material. We took it in stages, done several hundred tests over the last couple of years to investigate the structural properties and the potential applications, and that's where it started, the journey.
What's it been like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, for me, we started here in what we now call the Innovation District, and the old UMIS campus for the lecture. And I remember the conversation at the time, it was around the potential for graphene in concrete, and that led to the conversation with Alec and Rob. And then through our Bridging the Gap programme, where we work with SMEs based in Greater Manchester, did a small sort of study, a little bit of a workshop with you guys. And I think what's really great is these guys know their business. They know construction, they know concrete, they know the building trade. We understand the materials, the graphene bit. And for me, that was really the start of the relationship. That they understood the requirement, and I'm sure Rob and Alan can say is, from day one, the work we did wasn't driven by science, it was driven by an industrial application and how practically this would work in the field.
So this is what you were talking about earlier, rather than technology push, this is a proper market pull.
I think so, and you let Rob say that for me it was driven by how it would actually work in a real environment, which is absolutely critical, I think, to the whole partnership.
Yeah. It is, and that's exactly right. It's for Nationwide Engineering Group, ourselves as a principal contractor and a national construction group. Alex and I, who started the company, are both chartered structural civil engineers. It's been our entire profession, and we could see the skills and the chemistry and the science and the application of graphene, and how it could revolutionise the use of concrete in the construction industry. And that was locked here in Manchester University and in the Geek. And we knew the practical challenges and the construction industry challenges that it would face in order to commercialise it and get it to work in the construction industry. And the two of us working together, we've brought in the construction experience and know the end user and what the clients are going to want. And the science is what you bring into it, and it's worked fantastic.
And for me, the opportunity is not just concrete. We're talking a lot about concrete. It's around construction, and the drive towards more sustainable construction for me is a real disruptor that can bring in not just concrete, but everything from coatings through to composites, through to rubber mats. Yeah. So the dialogue is going beyond concrete now into how graphene can support sustainability in construction.
Right, there's half a dozen other videos there. So we'll come back to all that other stuff later. You've got graphene, you've got concrete. So what have you done? Tell us what's been happening.
Your best to answer that.
Magic.
I can see that the smiles on your faces.
We've worked extensively. Concrete as a material is a few constituents in it, but ultimately it's almost infinitely variable. So there's thousands of different mixed designs that you can produce from concrete. What we've been doing is experimenting with various formulations, a secret sauce as we call it, to really work out which is the optimal formulation and the optimal levels of the secrets within the source to maximise the structural strength gains of the material. And that's both compressive strength and tensile strength as well, because each has a very important part to play in the structure of any concrete. So for us, it's all been about understanding the optimisation part of it, and we're in a position now where we have several formulations for different applications. So for ground-bearing floor slabs, we'll have an application, a formulation for application that enables us to eliminate completely reinforcement from the slabs.
Now that's quite a big deal, isn't it?
Certainly is, because if we can achieve that, it counts substantially to reducing the CO2 associated with the construction of reinforced concrete slabs. In addition to that, we're also able to reduce the quantity of concrete by up to 30%. And there are many concretes out there that claim to be green, but you can't get green eliminating concrete completely, or a proportion of concrete completely. So it really is a genuinely green alternative.
And James, I would imagine that your guys, there's Happiness, Lisa and Craig, have been working with the guys here.
Yeah, so the Geek team has been at the heart of this, but for me, what I've been really pleased about is the approach to creating supply chain. So there's some intellectual property that's been developed that's owned by Nationwide that gives advantage. But what we want is a solution that we can take, not just locally, we can take internationally. So for me, it's about the creation of supply chain. And the secret sauce, if you like, what we want is a way where all of the questions out there, is there enough graphene around the world to meet all the concrete? So if we can get a solution that uses different types of graphene for different forms, then that can again mean that we can actually adopt this not just in a local situation, but in a national or international situation.
Right, so there's a few important things going on here. Not only are you adding graphene into concrete to make a big difference, I'll come to you in a minute, Rob, to just see the effect of that. So you're doing all this reduction of cost and reduction of CO2, working on the mixing of the graphene in very carefully. You're looking at the technical achievement of actually not being locked into one type of graphene. You've not quite commoditized it, but you're taking this a specialty chemicals approach, where you can use, provided you define the product, you can presumably source it from lots of different suppliers. And so that makes it inherently scalable. And so you brought all that together to create something rather unique and special. But you've not just done this in the lab, have you? You've actually been working in the real world.
That's correct, and everything you said there was our driver with Concretene and making Concretene work. It had to. You cannot produce and call Concretene a carbon-reducing product if you are having to ship products from all the way around the world to make it in the UK and then ship it back out again. And obviously, because concrete uses raw materials, you have totally different raw materials throughout the world. So the concrete that we're producing in the UK would be totally different raw material components to Australia, to Mexico, to New Zealand, to the Americas. The list is endless. So we needed to create Concretene that can then be manufactured under a license internationally across the world, locally. And that way, if we've got the technology to work here, which we have, then it's easy to scale up, like you say. And that's the principle of Concretene. And that's been the hard work, is making it commercially a commercially viable solution, which Concretene is, from day one at a lab level, rather than just trying to make it work in the lab and then think, how do we scale it up? We've tried to tackle all the problems together at once.
So James, I remember when we first met, you were talking about the value of death, when you get bright ideas that are invented and you've got industrial applications at the end. What I'm hearing now is you seem to be short-circuiting that, coming at it from both directions, both ends simultaneously.
I mean, this is what the Geek model is about, to try and bridge that value of death. And normally it would have been challenged in that lots of great work going around graphene and concrete. It's a few grams or a few kilograms. For the floor that these guys laid, it was 100 ton, 220 ton, correctly. So it's something you can't do in a lab with an academic, with a beaker and a set of scales. It has to be done in an industrial process. So for me, I'll give these guys the credit. Actually having to lay a floor of several hundred tons, that isn't a small commitment. So normally you would do this in a very incremental way of doing maybe a path or a larger path and then slowly build up. but actually we've jumped several steps ahead by going into a proper industrial installation. And now we're getting the data, we're getting the measurement, but we can now move hopefully quicker. We're not at the point where I don't think we can build a skyscraper in the near term, but hopefully this is a key milestone towards the confidence you need to introduce a new material into a market like construction.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression of professional competence. You know exactly where you're going. You're not joining the hype and claiming wonderful things. You're making steady, solid progress. Alex, Rob, James, amazing talking to you. I think we're going to have to come back and have another one of these chats. But for now, thank you very much, and well, good luck for the future.